Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with our first attempt at a flipped classroom. We're going to start with our photo tour of Africa to kind of give you an idea of what Africa looks like and how it looks similar to what you thought it did and how it might look different than what you thought it did. So let's get started. The countries that we will study about in Africa this year are the Democratic Republic of the Congo, South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, Nigeria, and Sudan. We'll study the physical features in Africa, the rainforest, the Atlas Mountains, the Savannah, the Sahara Desert, the Sahel, the Kalahari Desert, the Nile River, Congo River, the Niger River, Lake Victoria, and Lake Tanganyika. So here is a political map of Africa. You can see Egypt up here in the top northeastern corner. Come down just south of that and is the country of Sudan. Southwest of Sudan you have the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and two countries east of that you have Kenya, and then go southeast of that and you have South Africa. And then over here in the western part of the country, you have the country of Nigeria. You can see Southwest Asia, the region of the world we've already talked about this year, is up here northeast of Africa. Let's start with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. You can see that it's surrounded on most sides by other countries except for over here on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. You can see that the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or we can call it DRC, touches the Atlantic Ocean. Kinshasa over here is the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, is mostly made up of rainforests. And this is kind of what a rainforest would look like from the air. Looking down into it, you can see that it's very thick and you can't really see beneath what's called the canopy. And one of the most notable animals found in the rainforest of DRC are the gorillas. You see a family of gorillas here. One of the major features of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which used to be known as Zaire, is the Congo River, which starts over here in the southeastern part of the country and flows north through DRC, west, and then southwest and out to the Atlantic Ocean. Here is a picture of the Congo River running through the rainforests. And one of the more notable methods of travel on the Congo River, this would be a tree hollowed out into some sort of canoe. And that's one of the main methods of travel in DRC, especially on the rivers. Moving up to Egypt, a country that is more closely associated with Southwest Asia. The longest river in the world runs through Egypt, that is the Nile River. You have Cairo, which is the capital up here, which is known for having the pyramids and being also the most populous city in all of Africa. One of the interesting parts about Egypt, with that large population, the majority of people living in Egypt live along the Nile River. So you can see on this population density map that most people are living along the Nile River here and just to the edges of it, but out here in the deserts of the Sahara Desert, not a whole lot of people living. You do have an occasional oasis in several parts of the desert, where you will find some people living, but most people live along the Nile River, making it very crowded. Here is a picture of the deserts of Egypt, the Sahara Desert. You can see it's rocky in areas, very little vegetation going on in the Sahara Desert. This is the Nile River, and you can see along the banks of the Nile River there's plenty of vegetation. Lots of farming goes on along the Nile River. One of the things that they are known for is their cotton, much like the South is known for our cotton. In Egypt, you have very modern cities. Cairo is a very modern city, and they have modern malls, much like we do. You can see the Nike symbol here. There's a coffee shop here. Very modern parts of Egypt, also very old parts of Egypt where there's not a lot of modern amenities. This is one of the oldest parts of Egypt here, the pyramids, back from the Egyptians, back when you had pharaohs and queens and that kind of thing. These pyramids are actually tombs for the pharaohs and their families. You can see the Nile River. It starts down here in Uganda and Tanzania around Lake Victoria, and actually flows north. When you look at it, you might think that it flows from here to here, but it actually flows from here to here, flowing through these countries, through Sudan, and then the majority of it flows through the country of Egypt here. This is a satellite photo of the Nile River, and you can see that vegetation along the river that I was telling you about, and then outside of that it's nothing but desert. And this is an aerial view of along the river. You can see that there's plenty of farming, plenty of vegetation, and then it gets to the point where it's just too dry, and either irrigation can't reach this part of the land, or it's just not enough good soil beyond this line here. So that's an interesting contrast between this vegetation and the deserts. And here's some more of the Nile River, the farming going on along the banks of the Nile River, and you can see the city of Cairo in the background. Moving west across the continent of Africa, we come to Nigeria, one of the more interesting parts of Africa. Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, but Lagos is probably the main city in Nigeria. It's the financial capital, and a lot of people live here. Nigeria is one of the most populous countries in the world. It is the most populous country in all of Africa, also known for its production of oil. Here you can see the Niger River runs through Nigeria, okay, and that is kind of where the farming and such goes on, especially down here in the Niger Delta. Lots of fertile soil down in that area. Nigeria is known for being a very diverse place as far as ethnic groups go. I think we talked about before that they had over 250 ethnic groups. This map shows you where the major ethnic groups live. So you can see all of the various ethnic groups, and all of these various ethnic groups want to be in control of the country, and so therefore there's a lot of conflict that goes on in Nigeria. This is a picture of Lagos, which is a modern city with lots going on. A lot of it is surrounded in the oil industry and also the gold industry. One of the problems with Nigeria is that while they do have a lot of oil, they don't take care of the environment in Nigeria. They have these old oil wells that are no longer producing enough oil to make money, but they still leak small amounts of oil, and over the years and years and years, because these things have not been maintained, they cause environmental problems. Interesting picture here, some of the oil pipelines. These oil pipelines tend to be heated and a little bit warmer, so people will actually put their clothes on them to dry, much like we in this country or around the world, people would hang up clothes on a clothesline. They're using the oil pipelines as a method of drying their clothes. They also use them as a form of transportation by walking on top of them. Nigeria is not all bad. There are some very beautiful parts of Nigeria, like these waterfalls here. Moving to the southern tip of Africa, we come to South Africa, which is an interesting place. The main capital of South Africa would be Pretoria, but Bloemfontein and Cape Town are also capitals. It's divided between a legislative capital, a judicial capital, and an executive capital. Another interesting thing about South Africa is that it surrounds another country. This is Lesotho. It's a small country within South Africa, and when you have a country within a country, it's called an enclave. South Africa also surrounds much of the country of Swaziland, but not all of it. Swaziland shares a border with Mozambique, and this is called an exclave because it's surrounded almost entirely by another country, but not entirely. This is South Africa. This is what a savanna would look like. It's where lots of the wildlife that you would consider Africa to have, that you would see in things like The Lion King. This is what that land looks like. You can see these ostriches here, and the mountains of South Africa in the background. My brother-in-law is in the Navy, and he was on a submarine recently, and a few years ago was had the opportunity to stop with his submarine in South Africa, and they went on a safari, and one of the things that they saw were the rhinoceroses. And so here's a rhino. Interesting picture there. And a giraffe. Zebras. There's a ostrich back here. This over here is another tour group and another tour group. So lots of people on safari. It's one of the ways that South Africa makes its money. Some interesting pictures here. The water and antelope or springbok, I think, is actually what those are. And here's an interesting picture. Yes, it just looks like a pile of dung, but look closely here and you will see what's called a dung beetle. And for those that don't know what a dung beetle is a type of beetle that will take animal poo, animal feces, and roll it up and dig a hole in the middle, and that's where they put their eggs to create little baby beetles. This is a picture of Johannesburg, which is one of the major cities, the major city of South Africa. It was built around gold mines, diamond mines, and has become a very prosperous city in South Africa. So you have things like this in South Africa, beautiful modern homes in South Africa where people are living. But you also have this in South Africa, wide gap between rich and poor in South Africa. This is a area called Soweto, which is one of the larger um, ghettos, for lack of a better